It's 3 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon in 1985. Across America, millions of people are glued to their television sets, not for soap operas or talk shows, but for something far more addictive, game shows. The 1980s were the golden age of daytime television game shows, when ordinary people could win cars, vacations, and cash prizes just by spinning a wheel or answering trivia questions. But how did these simple formats become a multi-million-dollar empire? And why did it all come crashing down? This is the rise and fall of the 80s game show empire. The story begins in 1975 with a simple concept. Contestants spin a giant wheel and guess letters to solve word puzzles. Wheel of Fortune premiered with Chuck Woolery as host and a young model named Susan Stafford turning letters. The show was moderately successful, but it wasn't until 1981 that everything changed. Pat Sajak replaced Woolery as host, and a bubbly blonde named Vanna White took over letter-turning duties from Stafford. The chemistry between Pat and Vanna was magical. Pat was the smooth, professional host with perfect timing and gentle humor. Vanna was America's sweetheart, elegant and gracious, making the simple act of touching letters seem glamorous. Together, they turned Wheel of Fortune into a cultural phenomenon. By 1984, the show was pulling in over 40 million viewers daily, making it the most-watched syndicated program in television history. But Wheel of Fortune wasn't alone at the top. In 1984, a revived version of Jeopardy premiered with a Canadian host named Alex Trebek. The show had existed before, but Trebek brought something special to the format. His dry wit, encyclopedic knowledge, and slightly condescending delivery made him the perfect quiz show host. Jeopardy appealed to viewers who wanted to feel smart, while Wheel of Fortune appealed to those who wanted to feel lucky. The success of these two shows created a feeding frenzy in television. Networks and syndicators rushed to create new game shows, hoping to capture lightning in a bottle. Family Feud experienced a renaissance with host Richard Dawson, whose habit of kissing every female contestant became a cultural touchstone. The Price is Right with Bob Barker continued its decades-long run, while new shows like Press Your Luck, with its memorable no whammies catchphrase, captured audiences' attention. What made the 80s game show boom so special wasn't just the shows themselves, but the hosts who became household names. These weren't just television personalities. They were trusted friends who visited American homes every day. Pat Sajak and Vanna White became so iconic that they appeared on magazine covers and made guest appearances on primetime shows. Alex Trebek was respected as one of the smartest men on television. Richard Dawson's charm and wit made him a beloved figure, even when his kissing habit raised eyebrow. The prizes were another crucial element. The 80s were a time of conspicuous consumption, and game shows reflected that perfectly. Contestants could win everything from luxury cars to exotic vacations to complete living room sets. The showcase on The Price is Right became legendary for its over-the-top displays of consumer goods. Even smaller prizes seemed exciting in an era when a microwave oven or VCR was still a luxury item for many fans. But the empire that seemed unstoppable in the mid-80s began to show cracks by the end of the decade. The first problem was oversaturation. By 1987, there were dozens of game shows on the air, many of them cheap imitations of successful formats. Viewers became overwhelmed by choice and began to lose interest in all but the most established shows. The second problem was changing viewing habits. The rise of cable television gave viewers more options, and many began to abandon daytime television altogether. VCRs allowed people to record their favorite shows and watch them later, reducing the appointment viewing that game shows depended on. The demographic that had driven the game show boom was aging, and younger viewers were less interested in traditional formats. The final blow came from an unexpected source: talk shows. In the late 80s and early 90s, daytime talk shows like The Oprah Winfrey Show, Donahue, and later The Jerry Springer Show began to dominate the time slots that had once belonged to game shows. These shows offered drama, emotion, and controversy that game shows couldn't match. They were also cheaper to produce and could generate more advertising revenue. The legacy of the 80s game show empire extends far beyond television. These shows created a template for reality TV that would explode in the 2000s. They proved proved that ordinary people could be compelling television stars and that simple formats could generate enormous profits. The catchphrases, the hosts, and the excitement of winning big prizes became part of American culture. What's your favorite memory of 80s game shows? Did you ever dream of spinning the wheel or facing Alex Trebek? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching the 70s and 80s Vault. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the greatest decades of pop culture. See you next time.